Here the Giorgi. The audience is yours.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Vittorio Giorgi, and I'm Head of Engagement Practices, which is the pre-sales function for Southern East Europe. And today, I'm glad to be on this stage to talk about something that, like cloud, is becoming a hot topic for Ericsson. To what we consider really our view, our vision on the future, which is the networked society. I mean, at Ericsson, we used to say that whenever a new subscriber connects, his life changes. If all the things connect, the world changes. And whenever in the future anything that needs to be connected will be connected, then we will have the network society. What does it mean? It's much, much more than only connectivity and terminals. It is something that will change our life. It's another way of, let's say, cooperating, working, producing, generating ideas together. And I mean, it's far more than the numbers that are here in this slide. And what does it need to bring the networked society to life? Well, we think it's performing networks, smart software, broadband, and cloud. So cloud, it's a part of the Ericsson vision for the years to come. But let's define a little bit what is the cloud you are talking about. Let's define a perimeter. Of course, Ericsson looks at what is the operator view of clouds first. And the operator have three instances or three main areas where they are launching clouds. The first is the operator telco private cloud. This is when an operator structured and layered his architecture, his network, in order to be more efficient in the use of the resources of this network, in load balancing applications. An IT private cloud instead is what the normally CIO is looking for now. It's a way of rationalizing the usage of the IT infrastructures in order to be much quicker with the time to market, to be more efficient in the usage of the network, of the IT resources, and to be much more efficient also on end user perspective. So services, services like CRM, services like customer experience management. And the third area operators are looking into is how to launch operator public clouds. And the public clouds is when an operator shares parts of his resources and puts these resources in the availability of the enterprise to realize new services, infrastructure as a service, software as a service, you know well. So, yes, don't be offended by this very simplified view of what the cloud is. Because this is, in essence, containing, let's say, all the ingredients. We have the cloud in terms of applications distributed over the network, applications, data centers. We have the enterprise, we have the industry, and the consumer at the end. And so what cloud is made for is to virtualize, automate, and give flexibility to reduce time to market. But anyway, this slide, in its simplicity, is a bit misleading Because in our view, what is missing here is still a part which is how do the components of the network are orchestrated together in order to realize these end-to-end services, and how do the operator can guarantee the performance of the end-to-end services. And why I'm talking about performances? Because this is a report. The source is the Ericsson Consumer Lab study. It's a very interesting report. The Ericsson Consumer Lab is let's say a study that Ericsson performs every year, and there is one annual issue, usually in June, very much appreciated by the telco industry, where Ericsson, by performing interviews on 11 megacities in the world, with a sample representing 1.1 billion users, mobile users, then it produces a report which says what is most important for the user when it comes to customer satisfaction. And at the first place, we find network performance. The second, value for money, and the third, ongoing communication. So the first one is network performance. This is why I was talking about. How do we guarantee the end-to-end network performance, end-to-end performance of the services that you are launching? And, well, in order to guarantee network performance and the usability of the network components in order to build and deploy new services, we need a couple of components or a couple of pillars, as you like, on top of the cloud. The first one is SDN, software-defined networking, which is the component which enables to slice the network into units that can be reused, to be programmed. And these components are the single components on which to build the end-to-end service. The second pillar is the network function virtualization. And this is what enables the operator to deploy on these components in a virtualized way the services and the applications that he must provide to the end users. So we think that cloud plus NFV plus SDN is the way to deploy real-time cloud. And what is, this real-time cloud at the end? What it boils down into some components that are here in the slide. The first thing is that we said through the SDN, we shall create a visualized and abstract vision of the network. This is necessary in order to enable the cloud applications which were born into the data center to go out of the boundary of the data center. To be able to leverage on network functionalities in order to create innovative and completely new services which leverages on the network capabilities. And of course, you have to then add to this abstraction layer also the capability to deploy and instantiate virtual application, putting these applications whenever and wherever you need. I make some example. There are applications that do not require real-time access. Okay, these applications do not need to be instantiated close to the end user. There are applications instead which are very much sensitive on latency. Okay, for this application, it's extremely important instead. Where do you instantiate the functionality? Where do you put the data that must be accessed? So we see that the basic components are here. Data centers, network, access, network. When I say network, I mean IP network, transport network. and access network. So we have the pillars, the components. But in order to manage these components, you need a cloud management environment. Cloud management environment is the layer which enable you, enable the operator to have a real-time network control of all these components that are created. And on top of this, you need a cross-domain orchestration layer, which is the layer which enables you to put together, to combine together the legacy network functionalities and the new cloud functionalities in order to compose, develop, deploy these new applications. The last layer on top of this is the APIs layer, which is the one that exposes the new capabilities to the rest of the world. So, following this architecture, Ericsson has developed the concept of the Ericsson cloud system, which is not only a concept, because it's made of products and solutions that we are deploying on some operators' network already. And talking about the layers, the first one is the cloud management layer. On the cloud management layer, we have applications already which are capable to orchestrate, to activate, and to launch services, and then in the same time, taking care of security and monitoring and metering. And to expose also the capability of the new layered architecture to the upper layers, to the rest of the world. We have a cloud execution environment, and the cloud execution environment is the one where applications and, let's say, data and everything is running. And it's based on OpenStack. It's OpenStack flow. So we use OpenStack. Sorry, I have to move there because I don't see very well. OpenStack for computing framework, for storage framework, for networking, and for security. And last but not least, the components, the network nodes that Ericsson is providing already today to operators are cloud enabled. I mean, here we see samples of access modules, which are blades that you put in the access nodes. SSR is our packet network node and IP routing node. EBS is the Ericsson blade system. They are already cloud enabled, so they can host this cloud execution environment and work and operate according to this model. But it's not like this, it's not only this. We are also developing and opening the infrastructure to third parties. So very soon, we will be able to integrate in our cloud network architecture also third parties hardware codes. And it's not just a dream or a vision. We are doing this today. If you remember the three main areas, so operator private cloud, operator IT cloud, and operator public cloud, we are already working with some leading operators, tier 1 operators, in order to not only, let's say, talk about this, but to really deploy in the network what we are talking about. For instance, with the TNT, we have finished recently a proof of concept phase. And now the plan with them is to start deploying a layered architecture for the operator telco network, and also for the IT. Then we have Telefonica. Telefonica is a very interesting case. Because with Telefonica, it's not only that you are implementing the usual telco services. When I say telco services, the first one that are migrated are IMS services, business communication services. But at the same time, they are asking us to migrate also something which is really, really performance sensitive, which is their online charging. So you understand that when migrating such a time latency sensitive application and performance sensitive application like online charging, you have to be really secure of what you do. And this is in the IT. So with Telefonica, actually we should put the square into the IT. We are also working with Telefonica towards the public cloud. And finally, just to mention another one is with the Three Italy. With Three Italy, we have managed services since 5 years ago. So we implemented, actually, their IT infrastructure. And we are now in the phase of migrating this IT infrastructure into a cloud model. So, plenty of good experiences, and on operator telecom private cloud, we can really claim to be the first one, helping operators, assisting operators into this big transformation. Last but not least, in the beginning, I was talking about, if you remember the title of the presentation, it's not only performance, it's also customer experience. So we are building this cloud, we are building this real-time cloud environment, giving services which are innovative. But how do we secure that the quality of service is the quality that the customer is expecting? I could make some very, very quick example. For instance, we were talking to an operator last month that had this problem. I am providing services to a company which has his sales force on the, they travel. They decide this month you attack one area, next month you go there, and they have a kind of iPad, very simple, to input the orders that they receive on the ground. Unfortunately, or let's say normal, this application, in order to work, needs connectivity to the enterprise cloud. Why? Because if you make a sale, first thing you have to do is to check what is your customer situation. Is it reliable or not? And you have to do this real time. It's impossible for them to input orders manually, paper orders. It's a lost order. So it means that in order for that enterprise to work in a cloud environment with cloud services, with these sales forces distributed in the territory, they need to rely on performance, on network performance. And what happens when this performance is not guaranteed? It's the worst thing that might happen to an operator, because this is a lost customer. And if you lose an enterprise, it's a very bad hit. So what you have to do is to build, to enable this infrastructure, of course, which is very complex and delivering complex services. But then we have to interpret, read, collect data from this infrastructure, elaborate it in order to not do what it was done in the past. That, you have voice services, okay, it's very simple. Either you talk or you don't talk. Okay. Here we have to understand if the quality of services, if the bit rate, if the power that we are giving to our customers is the one that enables their application to work. That's the difference. For the mobile broadband, if I have a connectivity below 100 kilobytes, it's like a dropped call. That's the issue. So
This is an area where we are working in close cooperation with the operators in order to understand, starting from the business logic of the services that they are selling, what matters to guarantee the end-to-end experience, and be proactively act whenever you don't meet these targets, before the customer is reaching you. So this is something that is not only useful for customer care and network center, the operating center, but it's also useful for marketing, because it gives marketing the tools in order to transform a possible dissatisfaction into the next sales. Well, that's it. Thank you.